Alrighty, let me get this set up here. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Okay, we are here. We're doing a podcast 101 video. I'm doing it live. Let me make sure that's working real quick. Okay. Now we're getting started. Okay, welcome to a podcast 101 video. I tried to record this a couple times already, but I decided, you know what, I think I want to do this one live just to see if anybody has any questions. And so today we're going to be doing a live one, and we're talking about Reaper, which is a DAW. It's a digital audio workstation. This is what I use to mix and edit all my audio podcast and music. I'll write music in this. I'll even take video podcasts and I'll take the audio and I'll put it into Reaper just to kind of it's great. I've been using Reaper for, I don't have no idea at this point, 14 years, 13, 14, something like that years. Been using it a long, long time. I've tried every single digital audio workstation under the sun. I've tried Pro Tools, Cubase, Audacity, Adobe. I mean, I've used them all, and I always come back to Reaper, and I just love Reaper. It's just I've learned it, and I know all the tricks to it. And another reason why I love Reaper is it's free. Well, I mean, it's not technically free. It'll say this is not free when you open it up, but you get the full software without having to actually pay for it. Like they give it to you without, taking any features away. And so that's why I like it. It's very advanced software for something that is free, but it's also pretty simple to use. And I'm going to be showing you how to use that today. And a lot of you guys will watch my work with me videos. And when you download this version of Reaper, it's going to look slightly different than mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all my my theme and my keybinds, so that way you can actually follow along with me on my work with me sessions, and it'll look exactly like mine. And when I'm saying these keyboard shortcuts, you're going to be able to do them too, because otherwise you're not going to have any of these video shortcuts. So this is going to be something that I'm actually going to give to you all today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download it. So you're going to click download Reaper. We're on reaper.fm, by the way. I'll make a link to that. And then here, are you going to download it for your Mac or for your Windows? I'm pretty sure you know if you have a Mac or Windows by now. So just, just download whichever one that you're going to do. I already have it downloaded, but I'll just show you what you do. You just click download and install and just kind of agree to everything. And then you're going to install it, and it takes literally like 5 seconds. So I'm going to open it up here after I just downloaded it. And this is what I was talking about. It says Reaper is not free. It is a paid software product. And it says you're not supposed to use it for more than 60 days without purchasing a license. Well, on my other Reaper, I just downloaded this one. It says I've been using it for like 900 something days on this computer. So I think I've kind of gone past that. I probably should buy it at this point, but I just haven't. I don't know why, because it's really not that expensive. But I mean, it's already given it to me for free. But all you have to do is wait 5 seconds and click still evaluating, and it'll let you have access to the software. So what I want you to do is download my theme and my preferences, all that. I'm going to put it into the Classroom, and just download that and put it in a folder where you're going to remember where it is. You could even throw it on like your desktop or something, just somewhere quick where you know where it's at. Then you're going to go up to here where it says options, and you are going to click preferences. Make sure everything still looks good here. Yep. And then you're going to scroll up to the top. So scroll all the way to the top of these preferences where it says general, and where it says right here, import configuration. This is where you're going to import my configuration. So when you're done with this, it's going to look like mine, and you're going to have all my shortcuts. So just hit that. And then I have it on my desktop here. It's called the Podific Reaper Keybinds. This is going to restart. That's totally fine. I'm going to hit OK. So it's going to restart real quick. And then when it says import configurations, leave all these right here checkmarked. The configuration, the theme, all my custom keybinds. Just keep that all the same and just hit import. And so now it's imported and it's going to restart. And now it looks like how I have it. And now you have all my shortcuts. And I've been messing with Reaper for so long. I think I've figured out the best way to do it as quickly as possible. And I'll kind of go through some of those shortcuts here in a second. So you got to wait another 5 seconds. If you get tired of that, you could buy it. But I don't. It didn't really bother me that much. So I hit still evaluating. The first thing I'm going to do up here is this little dock right here. This is where all the different little shortcuts are. I'm just going to grab right here and move it up just a little bit. There we go. And now it'll stay like that. And this is kind of how I like it. And now if you want to see the mixer, you can press view and show your mixer. Okay, so now it looks normal. You've got everything set up where it looks normal. Now the first thing that you're going to do is go back to options, go back to preferences, and you're going to want to make sure that your device is set up right. So where it says audio device, where it says audio system, you're probably going to want to do ASIO. And this is going to be like your ASIO driver, which is going to be your audio interface, or it's going to be your USB mic. And I know that's a lot of confusing words, and you don't really have to know what they mean. Just pick this with this. And if for some reason this isn't here, then you're going to want to click like Wasapi or Direct Sound. I think either one will work. But we're just going to leave it on ASIO. And you're going to make sure that the inputs and the outputs are both on there. Leave all this other stuff alone. The sample rate, the 44-100, that's totally fine. That's where most podcasts are at. You can make it more high quality with 48, but just leave it. Leave all this the same. Ignore it. Now, in order for StreamYard to actually be able to hear the stream, I am going to have to change it to Direct Sound, and that's totally fine. So just ignore that. Now, kind of my workflow for doing these podcasts is I have an interview style show. It's interview only, and we interview people all over the world, and we talk to them with StreamYard. So I'm on StreamYard right now. And what I do is you can go back and watch. I did a full tutorial on StreamYard yesterday. You jump on a call with them and you record it, and you're going to download the local recordings from StreamYard. So you're going to download those, and then here's what you do. To get this in your new file, you're going to go to Insert, Media File, and then I just put them on my desktop real quick just to give an example. Where is it at? Desktop, Reaper, and then here's a couple of files. Oh, I did the wrong ones. My bad. I'm going to Control Z, undo, and do that again. I want these two. Okay, so I'm going to highlight both of those and click Open, and it's going to do same time, position, or separate tracks. That's what we want. And now it opened it up on 2 different tracks here. And I'm just kind of using my cursor or my scroll wheel to kind of zoom in and zoom out. Kind of zooms out the whole thing. If you hold Control and do your scroll wheel, it kind of makes that longer or shorter. And you'll kind of get the feel for it. But I'm just going to drag these tracks, make them a little bit bigger so I can see. Now I'm going to press play on this, and I'm going to just test for myself to make sure I can hear this on stream.
Like a huge percentage in there.
Let's see if it worked.
Like a huge percentage.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you can hear that. So that is obviously my co-host, Quinn. So I'm going to double click right here on the track, and I'm going to change that to Quinn. And if that's Quinn, then this one's probably me. So I'm going to double click that. I'm going to call that Eric. That's my name. And just to make things look a little nicer, a little prettier, I'm going to click my track right here. I'm going to go to track color. I'm going to make it green. And now I'm green. And I think I'm going to do the same thing for her. I like to have all my voice tracks the same color. So just make both of those green. Just to kind of, I don't know, you get kind of confused once you get a bunch of tracks on here. And if you just can know all my green ones are my voice tracks, then it's just kind of a helpful tip. So what we're going to do is now that we have both of our tracks on here, you can kind of hold left click or hold the right click button and drag, and you can grab both of those. And I'm going to move them to the start here. And I'm just going to kind of listen to see where my podcast actually starts, because we do a little bit of chit chat right at the beginning. So let's find it.
And he like sees in his mind today thought leaders and
I'm just going to turn that down a little bit because they're both kind of loud. Let me just show you how I turn it down. So if I just drag and I select both of those, if I hit E, that's the keybind I have for lowering the volume by 1 dB, then you can just lower them a little bit like that. And you can actually see the waveform getting smaller. And if you didn't want to do it like that, you can also just, oops, did too much. Edit to redo. There's actually a volume knob right here too. You can lower the volume like this here on the left. Or you can lower it on the, and I just lower in volume. I'll just lower and raise the volume over here on the actual track. I'm just going to lower those by a couple dB. That is the split button. So S for split, and then I have A for delete. So show you again. Split, S, A, delete. And here's she's laughing right here. So that's when she first comes in. So I'm going to split right before hers. Oops. And see, look, I did it a little bit too far over. So if I drag right here, is that going to work? No, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to just delete this then. Oh, I know why. It's because I have Snap enabled. So I forgot to tell you this. The first thing you want to do is turn off Snap, because what Snap does is it basically snaps it to the grid. Well, you don't need a grid in podcasting. You need a grid for music to stay on tempo, but you don't need it for this. So I'm going to turn Snap off. Now I can drag. All right, now let me show you something really cool. I have a keybind called Ripple Editing, and what this does is if I need to move all of this stuff right here to the beginning of the episode, but if I just drag it one by one, it's going to take forever. But if you press B and then press B again, what that does is it turns on Ripple Editing. You can also turn it on right here. And now when I drag, now they're kind of attached, and I can drag everything together. And it's simple as that. And you can press, so if you're over here and you're listening to something, if you press Z, that's another keybind that I made, and I'll write all these down for you also. It's going to take you to the beginning of the episode. So now let's play it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to A Look into Leadership, where we go behind the scenes of the lives of entrepreneurs. Frank.
Now there's a little bit of delay. I don't know if it's for everything yet or if it's just that one laugh. So what I would do here is I would do right at the end of this, split, split, A, delete. So S, S, A. And look at that, I still have Ripple Editing on. I need to turn that off for a second. So I'm going to press B again to turn it off. A. Now if I turn Ripple Editing back on with BB, I can kind of drag it over. Let's see how that sounds.
Finally legally drink. And because of that, we're going to celebrate, because 90...
Now, if you just want to go through and cut out some of the silence here, make sure you turn Ripple Editing back off. So turn it off like this. I'm just going to do split, split, delete. So S, S, A. And you're just going to go through and just take out just the random crap. So when you go through, just go through and start deleting all this stuff that you don't need. Let's see if we can find something that we can kind of cut out.
But
Do you know
that's
what I
like
mi-
multiple words.
So right there, we were talking over each other. So I'm going to cut out mine. Just split, split, delete. And that's mostly what podcast editing is you're just taking out stuff that you don't need and taking out parts where people are talking over each other, or you're taking out some words like So if I say you're going to take that stuff out. You're going to be taking out awkward pauses when somebody's thinking about what to say. So that's mostly what it is. You're just going through and just taking out stuff like that. Is this an
a mind palace, and he like closes his eye. Mind palace. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really say that much. We're 21 episodes in now, and I think we've gotten pretty good about not saying So I don't really have an example of that, but that's all it is going through and deleting stuff. Now let's say I wanted to add some music. So like earlier, let's add another track. So to add a track, you can double click like this, or you can hit Control T like this. You can double click right here, You can right click and insert new track. There's like so many ways to add tracks, but the easiest way to do it is just to double click. And so I'm going to call this one music. So just double click right here and you can type whatever you want. And I want to give this one its own special color too. So I'm going to go up here to track color, and I like to make my music blue. So hit OK to make it blue. Now, make sure ripple editing is off when you do another insert thing, or it'll make everything go really wonky. So I got ripple editing off. I'm going to go to insert again. I'm going to insert a media file, and I got some music right here. Where is it at? It's on my desktop, I think. And then I'm going to, okay. Now, this isn't the music that we actually use for the show. I just kind of grabbed something random. And so I'm going to drag that to the beginning. And let's see here. I know I don't want the voices to come in right away. I want it to come a little bit later. So I'm going to turn ripple editing on and kind of drag that over. It also dragged the music. I need to drag that back. So let's drag that back. I'm going to turn this music down. So like I said earlier, like what I do to turn music down is I have my shortcut for E to turn it down to 1 decibel. And I'm just going to press that a few times. And if you're just joining us, I'm going to give you all these shortcuts that you can put into your Reaper. So if you're watching now, go back and watch the beginning here later. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit. I'm going to press Z to jump back to the beginning. So Z. Now I'm back at the start. And I'm going to press space to play and space to stop. So you can press the space bar to start playing an episode, and you can press the space bar to pause it. So I'm going to press space. And this is really melancholy music. I don't know why I picked this. Okay, I want that to start a little bit sooner. So I'm going to turn ripple editing on. So BB. And I'm going to drag everything over. Let's just see how that sounds. I'm going to press Z to go back to the beginning and space to start.
Hey everybody, welcome back to A Look into Leadership, where we go behind the scenes of the lives of entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners, and more of the experiences that shape them into a successful person.
It just totally changed. It's so different than the music we normally use. The music we normally use is really upbeat and it's positive, and this one just sounds like we're at like a funeral. I don't know. Anyways, okay, so we're at the right here is where the intro is going to end. So I'm going to press space, or not space. I'm going to hit S for split, and I'm going to just drag that over just a little bit, so this can fade out. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. That's where I want the music to stop. So as you can see, it kind of fades out right here. I'm going to space bar the end of that. And you can click to highlight different parts of the track that you've now cut. And I'm going to hit A to delete. Now watch this.
My name's Eric Howell, and this is episode...
And to make this sound a little smoother, let me zoom in here so you can see. If you go to the end of this and you hover over the top right corner, as you can see, that little thing pops up. It's a fade, so I can just hold it and do a fade out. So if I hold my left mouse button and click and hold while I drag, it does a fade out. And you can actually right click to do different kinds of fades. So maybe like this one. Now let's try that. I'm going to actually move these vocal tracks over a little bit too. So let's see how that sounds now.
And more of the experiences that shape them into a successful person. My name's Eric Howell, and this...
I mean, it's fine. Like, it's whatever. It's not great. So also, after pretty much every single thing that I do, I'm going to go up here to the File button, and I'm going to hit Save. So let's save the project. And I'm just going to save it as this test podcast. And you can choose where you want to save it at. I would suggest getting a specific folder, like just create a folder for all your Reaper files for your podcast and just save it to that. So now we have a test podcast. And now you can actually hit the save button here too now that we've done that. So after every little thing that we do, I'm just going to hit save. Just so I don't lose anything, because like your power goes out or, you know, your computer crashes. There's no telling what could happen with that. So we have that, and honestly, this is still too loud, so I would turn it down. Something else that you can do, let me show you automations real quick. So on all of the tracks, there's this little button that says trim, And you can do automations for every single plugin that you do, but we're just going to do I like to do the volume pre-effects. So if I click that, if I turn that on, if it'll turn on. Oh wait, active. There we go. So you got to click here. They've changed it on me, so I don't want width. I want this off. Okay, so now that we have the volume pre-effects automation on, you can press Control and then left click. So if I press Control, the pin shows up, and I can left click, and then I can press Control and left click again, and now I'm making automation points, and then you can just left click and drag it, and so I can turn it down, and it'll kind of fade out like that. That's just a quick way to do automations. And every single plugin that you do, you can automate stuff. So like you can do like, I don't know, if I say I want to automate the pan. So let's turn the pan on. Now you wouldn't do this, but like if you did do it. So if I press Control and then click, it's in the center. Let's pull it up to the left, and then I'll press Control and left click again, and let's make it go all the way to the right. Now you can kind of hear it going between the two ears.
Hey everybody, welcome back to A Look into Leadership, where we go behind the scenes of...
I don't know. You probably wouldn't want to use that, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you how to do it. And then like you can use A to delete everything. So like if I wanted to delete this whole track, just click it and press A, and it'll say, do you want to delete this? Yes. Now, let me show you how to add an effects to this. Now, what I want you to do is I really don't want, if you've never mixed before, I don't really think you should necessarily mix this. What I would do is I would plug it into Auphonic. So I did, in the Pocket Coaching, I have a full Auphonic tutorial where you can put in your track and it'll mix it for you. And honestly, it sounds better than what I can do a lot of the times. Like with all my thousands of dollars of plugins, like this Auphonic AI website, just so good. So just don't even worry about mixing. But if you just want to know how to do it and you want to kind of try it, what you're going to do is where it says effects, you can click effects there, or you can click effects here, and you're going to add an effects. So click add, and now I have like a bajillion effects, and you're not going to have all these. You're going to have just the ones that say Kakos. That's the Reaper Kakos plugins. You're going to have all these, and so let's just add the EQ. So double click that, and now we have an EQ. See how it's green right here? We're going to have the EQ just on my track. So this is kind of an EQ. Over here on the left side, this is the low frequencies, and up here are the high frequencies. Now, if you want to take out a little bit of my lows, you can just turn it down like this. If you want to turn some highs up, you can do it like this. And you can do different kinds of bands here. So on the one, I'm going to do a high pass, or not a high pass. Is it a low pass? Oh, I got the wrong one. That's why. I'm going to do a high pass. And what that's going to do is it kind of slopes out some of the low frequencies. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I can kind of show you what it sounds like.
Hey, we managed to get to episode 21, so technically we are actually in the top 1% of podcasters. You know, you can say what you want about download numbers or whatever, but we actually made it, and I'm excited. And because
anyways,
of that,
that's just how you would do an EQ. And I'm going to do a full mixing tutorial later. That's going to be like if you wanted to mix something from scratch, I'm going to show you how to do that. But that's how you add plugins. You can add compressors, limiters, all kinds of stuff. But just trust me, just put it into Auphonic. It's going to do it for you. And so don't even worry about adding plugins and all that stuff now. Now, let me show you this. If you are recording just a solo podcast at home and you're not going to use StreamYard, so you don't have any reason to actually interview anybody, or if you're doing an in-person podcast, so if it's you and your friend are recording a podcast in person, what I would do is, let me just delete all this stuff. Delete. To start fresh. Okay, so you're going to start a new track here. So double click. And you have to arm the recording before you actually start talking. So arm the recording like this. Oh, and another thing is where it says right here, this little speaker, if I have it on, I'm going to be able to hear myself. And if I have it turned off, there's the monitoring, I'm not going to be able to hear myself. And it's good to be able to hear yourself, but a lot of people, it bothers them and it kind of throws them off. So if you don't want to hear yourself, make sure that's off before you turn this on. So now I'm armed and I'm ready to talk. I'm going to call that Eric. And let's just do a little test. Now that we have it armed, because I clicked it, now we're going to hit the record button. Let's see if it records. Hello and welcome to another Podific Podcast video. What are we talking about? Oh, I know. We're talking about Reaper. Okay. And then you hit spacebar to stop. So we've recorded that, and then now we're going to hit spacebar to stop. And you have to save it every time. So now that we press space to stop, save all. And then you can just kind of drag it where you want it to go to the beginning here. As you can see, I kind of goofed around for a second. Let's hear it. I'm going to turn this off too. Let's see if it records. Hello and welcome. So I'm just going to grab the end of this right here and left click and drag. Now I'm going to move that over. Z to go back to the beginning. Hello and welcome to another Podific Podcast video. Let's cut out that I'm going to split with S. So I'm going to click where I want to split. S split. Then I'm going to go to the other side. What are we talking about? Oh, I know. We're talking about Reaper. Let's just see there. So I'm going to click S to split. And I'm going to click this, press A to delete. Video. We're talking about Reaper. Okay. And now I'm going to drag that little OK off. And if I want to do a crossfade to get the little end of that off too, you can do that. But anyways, so that's how you would do a solo podcast. You would just you record, and you can record for hours and hours. You got an unlimited amount of recording in here. So just arm the recording, press record, and do your solo podcast. Go through and cut out the little bits that you don't, cut out the little parts that you don't want. And I don't remember if I talked about this yet, but you need to make sure that you actually have your microphone on here. It may default to the correct one, but if it doesn't, right click the little record button right here. And where it says input, you want to make sure it's the right input. So I have two inputs on my audio interface. So if I wanted to record another podcast with my friend, we can do that, and they can record on one track and I can record on another track. So I have my input mono. There's my track. Now let me give my friend their track. So we'll call him co-host. You're going to want to right click their little record button. Input mono, make it their input. So now we can have two microphones, each recording on their own track. And you're going to have to arm both of them. So I'm going to arm myself, and then I'm going to arm them, and then I'm going to hit record. And now we can talk to each other. And it's recording over my other one. But so now we're talking to each other. And there's nothing on this one because obviously don't have a mic plugged up. But if I did have a mic plugged up, you would be able to hear that person. And so we can just have a whole conversation talking to each other. And then when we're done, space to stop, save. And then let me delete this part because I kind of messed myself up. And there is both of our tracks. And you just go through and cut out the parts that you don't want. It's the same for a solo. And make sure Ripple editing is on so that way you can edit a little bit easier. And yeah, just go through and do all that. Now let me show you, once you actually have a finished product and you want to render the whole thing, so now you have like a 30, 40-minute thing that you've edited. Let's go up to File, go to Render, and then this is where it says Directory. You're going to want to choose you're going to want to make another folder. So what I do is I have a folder called Finals. So I have like my podcast, A Look into Leadership, and then there's a folder that says Finals, and I'll send it there. So just like, yes, or here's like one, for example. It's a true crime podcast I worked for. So True Crime Finals. I have a Finals folder. And then you just change the file name to whatever it is. So it's like, I don't know. We'll call it the Food Truck, because we got a Food Truck podcast. The Food Truck Podcast, Episode 1. And then make sure this right here says Entire Project. Oh, or you can do time selection, which is what I do a lot of times. If you do that, then you're going to want to just click up here at the top where it's black and drag over the part that you want. Have time selection on, but otherwise, easiest way to do it, just have entire project on. Now the format right here where it says format, for a podcast, normally you want to do MP3, but since we're sending it to Auphonic first, just keep it WAV. WAV is the highest quality audio file that you can really get. It's also a big file, but keep it on WAV, and then keep all this other stuff exactly the same, just like it is. Don't worry about it. So, and then just click render. So that's really all you need to change. Render. And it renders freaking fast. So that rendered all the way. And now it's going to be in where we put it. So now you're just going to go to Auphonic and follow my instructions from that last video. And it will put all the audio at the correct loudness level. It'll put it, it'll make it sound a whole heck of a lot better. It'll mix it for you. It'll take out all the reverb. It'll just do a great job, better than I could do. And then once from there, just download it as an MP3 from Auphonic and then upload it to your Spotify for Podcasters account. And that's it. So just to kind of go over, if you're doing a podcast here, you can record on Reaper, record your podcast, render it down, put it into Auphonic, and then upload it to Spotify. So it's really like 3 or 4 steps. Now, some of the editing can take a while, especially if there's a lot of like stuff that you want to cut out, where you're laughing with your friend or you're cutting out, some of the spaces and stuff. It can take a while. That's going to take the longest, but it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Anyways, let me see if there's anything else that I might be forgetting about Reaper that I haven't told you yet. Let me think for a second. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I taught you how to import the audio files. I taught you how to record. I taught you like the basics of cutting and deleting. That's like the main things you need to know. I taught you how to do the fade ins and fade outs. Let me show you this real quick. It's called markers. So for example, if I'm editing this and I kind of have to stop myself or something, if I have to like get up and walk away, or if there's something about this episode that I want to remember, so when I go back later, I can right click up here on the dark part and do insert marker, and I can just put like, I don't know, like a hiccuped right there. It's not a straight hiccup. And now there's a marker right there that says hiccup. And let's do another one over here. Well, I'll say I coughed right there. So I hit coughed. And what's cool is, see how they're numbered, 1 and 2? You can hit on your keyboard the number 1 or number 2, and it'll jump to that marker. So I'm gonna hit 2 and hit 1. You can kind of see it jumping back and forth. So that's just a quick way. So like, another practical reason why I'll actually use this is like, say the intro starts right here. I'll put intro, and so that way I know when I know where the intro is, that's where I'll put it. Because a lot of times I'll start from a template, like I'll open up the last project I just worked on, and I'll right click, or actually I'll do edit, where is it at? Track, there's a select all track I thought. Where's it at? This one looks slightly different than mine, so that's why I'm kind of having trouble. But anyways, just right click, drag over everything, and I delete it all out. What the heck? I didn't mean to open that. And I'll delete everything. And then, why did I delete that for? Don't delete that. Let me turn this off. There we go. Okay, so I deleted all the tracks, and now my markers are still here. So now when I go in to put in the new tracks, I know where the intro is supposed to go. I don't know, I kind of flubbed how I was talking about that, but that's like how you do markers. Now, I talked a little bit about mixing. Just use Auphonic, and I told you how to render. I don't think that there's anything else really to this that I can think of. If there's any questions that you think of later that you might have with how to use this, just let me know. And I think that's pretty much it for now. If I think of anything too, I might go back and add it. But anyways, I think that's going to be all. Thank you guys for watching this, and we will see you next time.